The cafeteria of orbital station Prometheus hummed with the usual cacophony of 100 different species trying to coexist. Leo sat alone at his corner table, picking at something the food synthesizer had optimistically labeled chicken teriyaki. He'd been on the station for 3 months now, working as a maintenance engineer, and he still couldn't get used to the strange looks other species gave humans. Don't make eye contact with the Vorathi, his supervisor had warned him on day 1. Don't sit near the crystalline collective. And whatever you do, stay away from her. Leo had learned quickly that her meant Lisa. She was Sanguivex, a species humans had nicknamed space vampires for obvious reasons. Pale skin that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Eyes that glowed faint crimson in dim lighting. And, according to station gossip, a taste for hemoglobin that made even the battle-hardened Krill warriors nervous. The Sanguivex were apex predators from a death world in the Outer Rim, and Lisa was apparently one of their diplomatic caste, stationed here as an observer for the Galactic Council. Everyone avoided her. Leo had watched her for weeks, sitting alone in the cafeteria, her table empty in a 3-meter radius, as if she carried some invisible plague. Other species would literally change direction mid-stride to avoid walking past her. She always sat perfectly still, hands folded, eating nothing, just observing. Today was no different. Lisa entered the cafeteria, and the usual hush fell over the room. Conversations dropped to whispers. The Krill security officers stiffened. Even the usually fearless Draconians gave her a wide berth. Leo watched her scan the room with those unsettling crimson eyes. Then, to his absolute shock, she began walking directly toward him. The cafeteria went silent. Every eye in the room tracked her movement as she crossed the space between them, her movements fluid and predatory. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. His supervisor's warnings echoed in his mind. His hand instinctively moved toward the emergency beacon on his belt. Lisa stopped at his table. Up close, she was both terrifying and beautiful. Angular features that seemed carved from marble, hair black as the void between stars, and those eyes that seemed to look through him rather than at him. "May I sit?" Her voice was surprisingly soft, with a musical quality that didn't match her fearsome reputation. Leo's mouth went dry. He could feel dozens of species watching, waiting to see if the human would be stupid enough to say yes. His common sense screamed at him to refuse. His training told him to activate the emergency beacon. But something else, something fundamentally human and stubbornly contrary, made him nod. Sure. A collective gasp rippled through the cafeteria. Lisa sat with the same fluid grace, folding her hands on the table. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Leo could feel sweat beading on his forehead. "You're not afraid," she finally said. It wasn't a question. "I'm terrified," Leo admitted, managing a nervous laugh. "But my grandmother always said fear was a poor reason to be rude." Something flickered across Lisa's face, surprise, perhaps, or amusement. "Your species is strange. Every other race in this station treats me like a walking disease. Even the Krill, who pride themselves on their courage, avoid me." "To be fair," Leo said, finding his voice, "the rumors about your species are pretty intense. The whole blood-drinking thing doesn't exactly scream, 'Let's be friends.'" "Rumors." Lisa's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "Yes. We consume hemoglobin for sustenance, just as your species consumes the flesh of other creatures. Yet somehow, we are monsters, and you are not." Leo paused, his fork halfway to his mouth. He'd never thought about it that way. "Okay. That's actually a fair point. I've been on this station for 6 standard months," Lisa continued, her crimson eyes fixed on him. 6 months of isolation. Of being treated as a threat merely for existing. Your species, I've noticed, is treated with similar— "Yeah," Leo said. "Apparently humans are considered unpredictable and dangerously curious. We tend to poke things we shouldn't, and befriend things that want to eat us. Like sitting with a sanguivex. Exactly like that. For the first time since she'd sat down, Lisa laughed. It was a genuine sound, almost human in its warmth. Around them, the cafeteria slowly returned to its normal noise level, though Leo could still feel eyes watching their table. "Tell me, Leo," she said, reading his name badge. "Why did you let me sit?" Truly, Leo set down his fork and met her gaze directly. "Because I know what it's like to be alone in a room full of people. Because I'm tired of everyone acting like humans are either too primitive or too dangerous to associate with. And honestly, because you looked like you could use a friend." Lisa's expression softened in a way Leo hadn't expected. For just a moment, the predatory aura faded, and he saw something vulnerable beneath it. Loneliness, that he recognized all too well. "A friend," she repeated, as if testing the word. "I haven't had one of those in a very long time." "Well," Leo said, pushing his tray toward the center of the table in a gesture of sharing, "humans are pretty good at making terrible decisions that work out surprisingly well. Want to grab synthetic coffee after this? I know a place where they don't water it down." Lisa's smile was genuine now, revealing teeth that were indeed sharper than human normal, but somehow less frightening in context. "I would like that, very much." As they talked, Leo noticed something remarkable happening around them. Other species were watching, yes, but not with fear anymore, with curiosity. A young draconian junior officer actually nodded respectfully as he passed their table. A crystalline collective member pulsed what Leo had learned was their equivalent of a friendly greeting. By the time they left the cafeteria together, a human and a sanguivex, walking side by side, the station's social dynamics had shifted in some small but significant way. Leo's supervisor caught up with him later, looking equal parts horrified and impressed. "Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you just did?" Leo grinned. "Made a friend. Isn't that what humanity does best? We find the scariest thing in the room and decide it needs a hug. That's not a survival strategy." "Maybe not," Leo agreed, glancing back toward where Lisa had disappeared down a corridor. "But it's definitely a human one. And in a galaxy that often mistook caution for wisdom, sometimes the most human thing you could do was prove that connection was stronger than fear, even when sitting across from a vampire from the stars." The end.